Let's be honest. You no longer think the way you used to, not because you can't, but because you're not allowed to. Your mind has been hijacked, bombarded, trained to jump from one stimulus to another without rest, like a lab rat compulsively pressing a button that releases a small dose of dopamine. You think you're choosing, but in reality, you've been programmed. It's no coincidence. Stop for a second. Breathe. When was the last time you were in silence, without a screen lighting up your face, without a notification demanding your attention, without feeling the compulsion to check something, to consume something, to distract yourself with something? Do you remember? Probably not. And if you do, it was probably uncomfortable, empty, like something was missing. That emptiness is the reflection of what has been taken from you. We live in an era where culture is no longer culture, but an endless stream of entertainment designed so that you never think too much. It's not about informing you, it's about keeping you busy. It's not about learning, it's about distracting you. And do you know what's most concerning? That you don't even realize it. Your mind is accustomed to instant gratification. A short video, a meme, a social media scandal that lasts 24 hours and then disappears. Everything is fast. Everything is fleeting. Everything is superficial. They throw stimuli at you, and you consume them without asking why, without questioning anything, without stopping to think about what this is doing to your attention span, your ability to learn, your ability to be a critical and independent human being. Neil Postman predicted it decades ago. He said we wouldn't be dominated by a tyrannical government that banned reading. We would be dominated by our own addiction to distraction. That the problem wouldn't be censorship of information, but that there would be so much, in so many absurd forms, that we wouldn't know what's real and what's not. Aldous Huxley saw it coming. Not a world where books were banned, but a world where no one cared about books, where no one wanted to read them. Because reading requires effort, requires attention, requires thinking. And thinking is hard. It's much easier to swipe your finger across a screen. It's much more comfortable to get lost in a sea of meaningless videos, of worthless posts, of purposeless entertainment. Culture stopped being a vehicle for intellectual growth and became a drug, a constant dose of dopamine that keeps you calm, satisfied, without asking uncomfortable questions. And the worst part? It's not just that this is happening, it's that we like it. The problem isn't that entertainment exists, it always has. The problem is that it has colonized everything, that we no longer know how to live without it, that any moment without stimulation makes us anxious, that we've lost the ability to be bored. And in that inability to be bored, we've lost the ability to create. Think about the great thinkers of history: Descartes, Nietzsche, Hume, Socrates. Do you think they would have been able to come up with their ideas if they had been checking social media every 5 minutes? If they had access to an endless stream of unsubstantial information, of meaningless gossip, of distractions designed to make them feel busy, but without actually learning anything significant? Boredom is not the enemy. It is the incubator of creativity, the source of great ideas, the foundation of critical thinking. But we have eliminated it. We have built a culture where the only acceptable way to exist is to be entertained. Always. Without rest. Without pause. And that's how we got here. With a society that doesn't think, that doesn't question, that only consumes. It's not coincidence, it's not chance, it's a system that understands that an entertained society is a controlled society. A society that doesn't think too much is a society that accepts what it's told. That doesn't rebel, that doesn't demand answers, that doesn't ask uncomfortable questions. The most ironic part of all this is that the very technology that has turned us into slaves of distraction is the same one that could set us free. Because access to information is there. Knowledge is there. The tools to learn are there. But we don't use them. Because learning is hard. Because it's much easier to go with the flow. Because we have been trained to prefer the immediate, the easy, the superficial. The question is, are you going to keep going like this? Are you going to keep allowing others to decide for you what you think, what you believe, what you invest your time in? Are you going to keep letting your mind be programmed without resistance? Are you going to keep allowing the culture of entertainment to dictate the way you live? Or are you going to take back control? I'm not going to tell you to stop entertaining yourself. That would be ridiculous. Entertainment is necessary. Laughter is necessary. But there has to be a balance. You have to regain the ability to be in silence with yourself, to be bored without feeling uncomfortable, to read something without needing an immediate reward, to think about something for more than 30 seconds before jumping to the next distraction. You have to take back your mind, because if you don't, someone else will do it for you. And they have been doing it for a long time. The choice is yours. And here's the part you don't want to hear. They've convinced you that you don't have time, that your life is too chaotic, too busy, too fast to stop and think. But that's a lie. It's not that you don't have time. It's that you've been conditioned to waste it. Every time you open an app for no reason, every time you jump from one video to the next without realizing it, every time you feel empty without your dose of entertainment, you are giving your time to something that gives you nothing in return. Imagine that every time you open your phone, someone stole €5 from you. €5 for every meaningless video. €5 for every minute spent mindlessly scrolling. Would you still think it's a small price? Or would you start to realize how much you're losing? The difference is that here, they're not stealing your money. They're stealing something more valuable: your attention, your ability to think, your capacity to question. And the worst part is that it doesn't just affect your mind, it affects the way you interact with the world. People used to get bored, and in that boredom, curiosity was born. Now, boredom has been eliminated, and with it, curiosity has died. Think about this. When was the last time you sat and watched the sky without pulling out your phone? When was the last time you had a deep conversation without a notification interrupting you? When was the last time you truly listened to someone without feeling the need to distract yourself with something else? We have been taught to avoid silence because silence forces us to face ourselves. And that's scary, because when the noise disappears, you realize you don't know how to be with yourself. And that's the great trap of modern entertainment. It doesn't leave you space to think. It doesn't leave you space to question. It doesn't leave you space to discover who you are when no one is watching. The great minds of history were not shaped by an endless stream of distractions. They were shaped by contemplation, by the ability to be at peace with their own thoughts. But today, that has become an almost extinct skill. And it's not just an individual problem. It's a global one. When a society stops thinking critically, when a society only consumes without analyzing, when a society only seeks immediate pleasure without questioning the consequences, it becomes easy to manipulate, it becomes weak, it becomes predictable. The most powerful empires in history weren't destroyed by external forces. They collapsed from within, when their people stopped questioning, when they stopped valuing knowledge and surrendered to endless entertainment. And now look around you. It's no different. The games aren't in a coliseum, they're on your screen. The spectacles aren't gladiators fighting, they're influencers competing for your attention. And while you consume, someone else keeps moving the pieces on the board without you realizing it. The question is, are you going to wake up? Because now you know. And now you have two options. Ignore this and continue as you are, or take back control. Your attention is the most valuable currency you own. The question is, will you realize it before it's too late?